Hey, this is MJ, and in today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to crochet our jack-o'-lantern pumpkin stack. This pattern is seamless and it's worked from the bottom up. So all three of our pumpkins are all crocheted together in one piece. So I have made a little witch hat for the top, but you could also leave your pumpkin with just the twine stem if you prefer. So let's go through all the supplies we're going to need for this pattern. So I'm using Wool Ease Thick and Quick from Lion Brand for this tutorial. I have used the color pumpkin and black. And in today's tutorial, we're going to be working with the wheat. So we'll have a lighter colored pumpkin as well. So you're going to need 2 balls for your pumpkin and then just a small amount for your little witch hat. You're going to need some twine for your stem. And I get these little rolls that are like this, and you can just section off a bunch to get the stem the size you want. And you can see it's really nice and flexible, and it basically looks like a little pumpkin stem without doing all of the work. So you can just roll off as much twine as you'd like and stick that aside for other projects, and then just use this as the stem. And I just pick these up at the dollar store. You'll need a stitch marker because we will be working the pattern in a continuous round. So this will mark the first stitch of every round. I will be working with a 7mm crochet hook for this pattern. This is a streamlined gold hook from Furls Crochet. Now I do want to mention, you just want a nice tight stitch on this pattern. So if you need to drop down a hook size, you can do that. You just want to make sure that the stitch is tight so that your stuffing's not going to be popping through. So if you do substitute yarn, you may want to go down a hook size because the Wool Ease is a very plush and thick, super bulky weight yarn. But you can sub this pattern out for Bernat Softy Chunky, which would be a slightly thinner. I would maybe use a 6.5mm hook if you're using the Bernat Softy Chunky. So I did add a little bit of twine also to the little witch hat. And now for our face, I have used felt. So what we're going to do is you need a piece of felt. Now I was able to get 2 pumpkin sets out of 1 sheet. And when you purchase your PDF pattern, you're going to get the printable so that you can print out your faces. So the 3 sizes that you need are here. And what you want to do when you're cutting these out, we kind of found the easiest method. You want to cut just your faces out without cutting all of the pieces, and then you can just pin it to your felt and then cut the eyes, nose, mouth right. You're going to just use this as a template and cut it all at one time. So don't cut out your pieces first and then try to cut the felt, because that's more difficult. If you do it this way, just cut out some circles of your little faces, pin them to your felt, and then just cut them out. And that's going to be the easiest and fastest way to do this. And then you'll need some fabric glue or glue for putting your pieces on to the pumpkin. So for stuffing your pumpkin, you're going to need a bunch of polyester fiberfill, so make sure to have a big bag on hand for stuffing. You're also going to need a weighted bag. And this, you can get creative. You can use whatever options you want to weight your pumpkin down. But for stability, you're going to want a nice weight in the bottom. So you can get craft sand, craft beads, rocks, rice, really whatever you want to use to weight down your pumpkin. You want to get some bags, so a zipper seal plastic bag, or you could use muslin bags, really whatever you have. Try to keep it inexpensive. You just want to make sure that your pumpkin has some nice weight to the bottom of it. So let's get started with a magic ring. Wrap the yarn around your index finger 3 times. You're then going to take your 7mm hook or a smaller hook if you're working with yarn that's a little bit thinner. So you're going to pull this through. We're going to chain 1, and then I'm going to work 10 half double crochet in the ring. So yarn over, go through the ring, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pulling through all 3 loops on your hook. yarn over, go through the ring, pull up a loop, yarn over, pulling through all 3 loops. So there's 2, I'm going to work a total of 10. So once you've worked your 10 stitches, we're going to pull this ring tight. Now I just like to move my work out of the way so I can see the loops here. We're going to take the tail, you're going to start to pull it. You can see only 1 loop is pulling in. So that loop that's pulled in, you're going to now give it a tug. It's going to pull the other loop tight. So now our circle is closed up. Then you can take your tail and pull in the other loop so everything is nice and secure. Now we're going to start working in our continuous round. So we're going through the back loop of the first stitch and we're going to work 2 single crochet. So pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, go back down through the same stitch through the back loop only, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now I'm going to mark the first stitch with my stitch marker. I'm going to work 2 single crochet through the back loop of every stitch around for a total of 20 stitches. Okay, I've worked all the way around. We're going to remove our marker. In the first stitch, we're going to work 1 single crochet through the back loop. The next stitch, we'll work 2 single crochet in the back loop. Mark the first stitch. And we're going to continue in that pattern. So 1 single crochet through the back loop, 2 single crochet in the back loop. And repeat this around. We're going up another 10 stitches for a total of 30. Okay, so I've worked around 30 stitches. We're going to work 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Mark the first stitch, and then 2 single crochet in the back loop of the next. So our repeat pattern is 1 in each of the next 2, and then 2 in the next. And repeat this around, increasing to 40 stitches. Okay, so I have a total of 40 stitches. We're going to do another increase. So I'm going to work 1 in each of the first 3 stitches. Mark the first, and now this pattern is all going to be worked in single crochet in the back loop only. So you'll always be working here through the back loop, and we're doing single crochets throughout. So now 2 in the next. And so our repeat pattern is 1 single crochet through each in the back loop of each of the next 3, and then 2 in the next. So this round will go up to 50 stitches. Okay, so I now have a total of 50 stitches. We're going to do 1 more increase. So this time we'll work 1 in the first 4. There's 2, 3, 4, mark the first, and then 2 in the next. So 1 single crochet in the back loop only of the next 4, and then 2 in the next. So I'm going to repeat this pattern all the way around, and then we'll be up to 60 stitches, and that will be our total amount for the bottom pumpkin. Okay, so I've worked around a total of 60 stitches, so I've completed all of my increases, and we can give it a little measure just so you can see how you're doing. I'm going to sort of point to point here where the increases are, and that's about 6.5 inches. So now what we're going to do for the next 12 rounds is just work 1 in every stitch. So 60 stitches for each round for 12 rounds. So that's going to get us to round 18. So 1 single crochet in the back loop of every stitch around. So this is going to take a little bit to get our 12 rounds done. You're basically working one in every stitch. Make sure your stitches are nice and tight as you go, and then your pumpkin will start taking shape as you get working your rounds. So I'm going to go complete my 12 rounds at 60 stitches, and once I have that finished, we'll meet back up again. Okay, so I finished working my 12 rounds at 60 stitches. Now we're going to start doing some decreases. So I'm going to work 1 single crochet through the back loop of the first 4. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to decrease. I'm going to do an invisible decrease across the next 2. So to do that, we're going to go through the back loop only of the next stitch. We're going to go right through the back loop only of the next stitch, yarn over, pull through these 2 stitches, yarn over, pull through 2. So here is your repeat pattern. We're going to do a single crochet through the back loop only of the next 4. And then decrease across the next 2. So go through, go right through the next, yarn over, pull through those 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. So repeat that all the way around. Okay, so I worked that all the way around, so we've reduced to 50 stitches. We're going to decrease again. So this time we'll do 1 in each of the first 3 stitches. We'll mark this, and then we'll decrease across the next 2. So again, the repeat is 1 in each of the next 3, and then decrease across the next 2. So go through the back loop, go through the back loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And repeat this all the way around, reducing to 40 stitches. Okay, so we've worked that all the way around. We're going to do another decrease. So this time we're going to do 1 in the first 2. Mark the first stitch, and then we're going to decrease across the next 2. Go through, pull through 2, pull through 2. So 1 in each of the next 2, and then pull through 2, pull through 2. So I'm going to repeat this pattern all the way around. Okay, so I've reduced to 30 stitches, and we're now going to start increasing for our second pumpkin. So I'll work 1 in each of the next 2. And then 2 in the next. 1 single crochet in the back loop of each of the next 2, and then 2 in the next. So we're increasing back up to 40 stitches. I'm going to work that all the way around. Okay, so I've worked that all the way around. I've increased to 40 stitches, and now we need to do another increase. We're going to increase this up to 50 stitches. So 1 single crochet in each of the next 3. Mark the first stitch. 2 single crochet in the back loop of the next. So 1 in each of the next 3. And then 2 in the next. Okay, and repeat that all the way around. Okay, so I've worked around, I've increased to 50 now, and now we're going to do 10 rounds at 50 stitches. So just 1 single crochet through the back loop of every stitch around. So there's 3. So again, this is going to take a little bit to work up the 10 rounds. So I'm going to go ahead and work up 10 rounds at 50 stitches, and then I'll meet you back up again. Okay, so I finished working my 10 rounds, and we're going to do some decreases next. So 1 in each of the next 3. And then decrease across the next 2. So 1 in each of the next 3. And then decrease across the next 2. Okay, and then work that all the way around. Okay, so I worked all the way around and we've decreased to 40 stitches. This might be a good time to start stuffing the bottom before we close this in too much. So I have a bag already, my weighted bag. I use this cotton style bag, but you can just use a zipper bag, plastic bag, really anything. You don't have to go to the expense to buy these, but I had a bunch on hand, so I'm going to use what I have to weight down my pumpkin. So I'm going to make sure that I tie this up. So again, you can fill that with anything that you want. You just want to make sure that it's nice and weighted. And then I'm going to start stuffing it. Okay, so I've been stuffing. I have the base all stuffed. You want to just keep sort of fiddling with your stuffing so that you get it as uniform as you can. And now we can wait on the next section if we want to crochet a little bit more so the stuffing doesn't get in the way. But if you can get your base stuffed, then that part will be out of the way. So let's do another decrease round. So we'll work 1 in each of the next 2. And then decrease across the next 2. So 1 in each of the next 2. And then decrease across the next 2. And repeat this all the way around. Okay, so I've reduced down to 30 stitches and we're going to do another decrease round. So we'll reduce down to 20. So we'll work 1 in the first and then we'll decrease. So 1 in the next, and then a decrease. So repeat this pattern all the way around. And I'm going to keep that, I don't have this stuff, so I can Make sure to get this into the video for you. If I get going too high, it's going to get a little bit close to the camera. So I'm going to wait to stuff mine until I get more of this crocheted. Okay, so I've reduced this now down to 20 stitches, and I need to increase, and we're going to work the last pumpkin. So we're going to work 1 and then 2 in the next. So we're going back up to 30 stitches again. So 1 in the next, and then 2 in the next. Okay, so I've worked all the way around. We have 30 stitches, but we want to increase one more time so that we go up to 40. So we have 60 on the bottom, 50 on the center, and 40 on the top. So we'll work 1 in each of the next 2. And then 2 in the next. 1 in each of the next 2, and then 2 in the next. So I'm going to repeat that pattern all the way around. Okay, so now that we've worked up to 40 stitches, we need to do 8 rounds at 40 stitches. So just 1 single crochet through the back loop only of every stitch around for a total of 8 rounds. So I'm going to continue working my rounds off camera. So I'm going to do 8 rounds, and then I will meet you back up again. Okay, so I've worked all 8 rounds, and now we need to do our final decreases. So we're going to start with 1 single crochet in the next 2. And then we're going to decrease the next 2. Single crochet in the next 2, and then decrease the next 2. So repeat that pattern all the way around. Okay, so I worked that all the way around. So we're down to 30 stitches. We'll do another decrease. 1 in the first, and then a decrease. So 1 and then a decrease. So work that pattern all the way around. Okay, so I have it decreased down to 20 stitches. I'm going to stuff the head now because it will be harder to get the stuffing in if we don't stuff it at this point. Okay, so I have that stuffed. Now I'm going to do another decrease. I'm going to decrease this time down to 15 stitches. So I'm going to work 1 in the next 2. And then a decrease. It's getting a little awkward to hold on to this thing. Okay, so 1 in the next 2. And then decrease. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that around. Okay, and our final decrease will be 1, and then decrease the next 2. So 1, and decrease the next 2. So that will reduce us down to 10 stitches. Okay, and then we can fasten this off. And we'll set this aside and we'll work on the hat next. So now I've just been rolling off some twine just to get this down to a size that I like for the stem. And then what we can do is just put this inside the hole at the top. And then I'm going to weave in the tail. So what we're going to do is go through the front loops only of every stitch around. That will pull it nice and tight, and then we can just weave in this tail. I'm just going through the front loops only. Okay, and you can bend it over either way you want, and then you can even tie some twine around it, especially if you're not going to add the hat. But I actually like that the stem holds the little hat on. But if you wanted to permanently glue, use a glue gun to glue the hat on so that it doesn't move, you could do that as well. I'm just going to give this a little bow at the top. So we'll be working with the black yarn to do the hat. We're going to make a magic ring. Slide your yarn. And if you need to reference this with the lighter yarn again, go ahead. I know it will be a little harder to see with the dark. Chain 1. And we're going to work 6 single crochet in the ring. We'll be working the same stitches for the hat as we have done with the pumpkins. So you won't really need to reference how to make the stitch with this tutorial. So it will be mainly just the instructions that I'm giving to make it, but I know it will be difficult to see the stitches in the black yarn, but you should already know how to make the stitches after working the pumpkin. So let's now pull this tight. And we won't be joining, we're going to work a single crochet in the back loop of each stitch around for a total of 6. So I'm going to mark the first stitch. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to be doing some increases. So we'll work 1 single crochet in the first 2 stitches. You can kind of feel for your stitches because they're hard to see regardless in the black. Then we're going to do 2 single crochet in the next. 1 in the next 2, and then 2 in the next. Now we'll work 1 in each of the first 3. One, 2, 3. We'll mark the first. And then 2 in the next. And we're doing all single crochets to the back loop only. So 1 in the next 3. And then 2 in the next. One in the next 4. So there's 2. 3, 4, and then 2 in the next. One in the next 4. And 2 in the next. So 1 in the next 5. So there's 2. 3, 4, 5, 2 in the next. 1 in the next 5. 2 in the next. And we're going to continue in this manner. So now we'll do 1 in each of the next 6. And then 2 in the next. So there's 6, and then 2 in the next. So we keep doing 1 additional stitch before we do the increase. So now we'll do 7. And then 2 in the next. So we're going to continue this until we have 24 stitches. Two in the last. So then we'll do 8 and 2, then 9 and 2, etc., until we have a total of 24 stitches around. So I'm going to go ahead and work them, and then I'll meet you back up. Okay, so I've worked up to 24 stitches. Now we're going to increase a total of 3 stitches on this round. So I'm going to work 1 in each of the next 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 2 in the next. And then we'll repeat that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 2 in the next. And then repeat it one more time. And 2 in the last. Okay, now this round we're going to do 1 in each of the next 8. So there's 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 2 in the next. So repeat that all the way around. Okay, so we now have 30 stitches, and we are going to do our flare out for the brim. So we're going to work 1 and then 2 in the next. And we're going to continue single crochet through the back loop only. So our repeat pattern will be 1 and then 2. 1 and then 2. So repeat that all the way around. Okay, and now we'll just work 1 in the back loop of every stitch around. There's 2, and continue this around. Okay, so here it is. We can fasten off. And I'm going to do a seamless join. I'm just going to take my yarn needle for bulky yarn. I'm going to skip the first stitch, go under both loops of the next stitch. And then you're just going to weave through the back loop only of the last stitch. I know that's hard to see, but just do your best. Follow along, and then we're just going to weave the tail. You can always use any joining method for this. This is just going to allow that stitch just to blend in nicely. So now we can take some twine. I like to double it up. And we can just tie this around in a bow. And then the hat just can go right over top of that. I like it to tilt to the side. I think it looks cute. But next we're going to work on the faces. So the pattern includes your template. And like I say, you're just going to cut your faces out. Use a good pair of scissors. My mother was able to do these for me. And she has her good sewing scissors. And she found the easiest thing to do was to cut this out. Cut each of them out and then pin it to the felt. So then you just pin this on, use some little sewing pins, and then you can cut out your shapes, and you'll need to do each of the sizes. And she was able to get 2 sets out of 1 piece of the felt. Okay, so she put these in a little bag for me. So I have each of my faces. all ready to go. And then we're going to use some fabric glue to glue these on. Okay, so you want to find what you like as your the best front. I'm going to start with the largest face. And we just have some fabric glue. And then I'm just going to spread this. Make sure you get all of your corners really well and the edges so that it does stay on good. Okay, so I got my first face. And I'm going to go ahead and do the next one, just making sure as you work that you keep them so that they're centered. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll attach all my faces and then we'll meet back up again. So here he is finished with all of the faces. You can always add a little bit of extra glue to your edges just to make sure that your little pieces stay on the face. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and tap the bell to stay updated on all my new videos and tutorials. Make sure to check the description box for the supplies used in this tutorial and for the pattern link. Thanks so much, guys. Have an awesome day.